my name is Karen. I have been with Viewpoint, I think, probably for about, I'm going to say a year, maybe 18 months. Who knows? Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? And I'm 57. I live with many conditions, including autism and ADHD and sort of depression and anxiety, all that, lovely cocktail that goes along with life sometimes. And with Viewpoint, I do a whole variety of things. So I do facilitation. I also take part in reviewing stuff around the mental health strategy and things like that within Hertfordshire, and just contributing to really the direction that Viewpoint is taking and participating in anything that I can to do that around mental health and neurominority conditions like mental health and those that I live with. My passions are people, quite honestly, that is my passion. I'm sure if anyone in the room knows anything about autism and ADHD, we have very strong interests, and mine has always been people. And my passion really is about helping other people feel better about themselves and life in general, because I know how very difficult that can be. So that's me, that's Carol. So at the beginning of lockdown, I had to give up my school job because it conflicted with my caring role in lockdown. And I really wanted to do things like most people, I'm sure, in lockdown, who suddenly thought, what am I going to do with my time? So I became self-employed at that point and was doing some facilitation stuff with a variety of other charities. And I came across Viewpoint, I think on the Team Hearts volunteering, or maybe Hearts County Council kind of thing. And so I just contacted Viewpoint, and that's where it started. And it's mainly, again, as I've said, I'm really passionate about increasing awareness about people challenged with hidden, conditions like myself. And also mental health challenges and addiction have affected many people that I care about throughout my life. So I feel very passionate about that. And also I know what it feels like to be in crisis, and anything that I can do that helps anyone else through difficult times that they're facing is really what matters to me. So that's how I became involved with Viewpoint. So for myself, what I've learned is the real importance of noticing when I'm vulnerable as soon as possible, and asking other people for help. And I've learned that when I do this, number one, help is always forthcoming. It may not always come from where you expect it to come from, but it's definitely there. And also it means I can model this for the people around me who sometimes also struggle, but who also find it hard to ask for help. So when I can talk about that, it helps others to believe that it is possible to get help and it's okay to ask for it, because I think sometimes we can get very bound up in the fact that we're imposing on people when we do that. And actually what we're doing, in my experience, is denying them a role that they really want to fulfill in our lives. And I've also learned that I really can use my voice to help others understand and accept and include, and so better support those who share realities like mine, but that these people perhaps are not yet able to speak for themselves. So I've learned that my voice is actually very powerful, and I am genuinely really grateful to anyone that listens. I've also learned that others are willing to listen and learn from people like me and my community about their own lived experience, and therefore listen to that authentic and valid view about what can be done differently to remove barriers that people in my community face day to day. I've learned that there are people who have the curiosity and courage to consider alternatives to cultures and expectations that sometimes protect a system, but actually increase vulnerability for those who have to maneuver through it. I'm really, really grateful, honestly, thank you, to those who really embrace this sometimes uncomfortable reality that change needs to happen from them in order to benefit all those vulnerable communities that they're around. And most importantly, really, facilitating with Viewpoint has confirmed to me that this mission I have really that drives me to increase awareness and understanding and acceptance and change in society is possible, and also really important. You know, someone once famously said, didn't they, I have a dream. And I'm really blessed to be able to pursue it with all of the organisations that I work with, like Viewpoint, that are helping me to do this. I've learned how to listen more openly. I think if anybody knows me, I have a lot to say. But sometimes I struggle to actually, I mean, I do really want to hear from people. But sometimes my this sort of passion I have to sort of help people can get in the way of listening. So I've learned to listen more openly. I've learned for myself to reflect with more self-compassion, and to really open myself up then to the learning that comes along with that. And also I've learned to learn from those that I come across and I meet along the way. I mean, I've learned so much from the people that I am really privileged to spend time with through facilitating. And also I've learned sometimes I've learned better timekeeping. And as anyone knows me, time is not my favorite times. So yeah, that's been good too. I think they've been an absolute lifeline for people during the whole sort of COVID thing, because that's really when I came to Viewpoint. I think there are many, many people who find it hard to leave their own home, let alone do much else. And, you know, to have a way to connect with people who really understand them, I think has been incredibly important for helping them not feel totally isolated during this whole thing. I think also what we the groups offer is excuse me, a different way of connecting for those people, you know, with others, with those shared experiences in a way that is really warm and welcoming and completely accepting and non-judgmental. And also it offers, you know, Viewpoint offers a space that, rather than, you know, the clinical environments that many find difficult to be in, we offer a really safe, warm and welcoming space for people to be themselves without worrying about what the outcomes of that could be. So they don't have to hide behind something that they expect other people to see. They can just be their genuine selves. And I think that's incredibly important for anybody. As I mentioned, timekeeping is one, quite the challenge for those with ADHD like me. I have a very loose relationship with time. Also, I did actually experience crisis while I was facilitating, so that was also a challenge, but I have to say Viewpoint, as always, brilliant when anyone is feeling that way. So that was something for me, not to mention, obviously, the usual IT issues that can come and go, can't they? You know, where you just freeze. And that sort of thing. And also, you know, one of the things I live with really is complex PTSD around some very difficult behaviours from other people, where I felt very marginalised and very invalidated, and, you know, and so that has been a learning curve for me, to be able to, when I'm feeling really vulnerable about saying what I need to say and worrying about what other people or how other people might respond to it, I have, you know, I've learned to have courage and to believe that other people will listen with compassion and with understanding, and, you know, really hear what I have to say from the heart, in a way that at times has been very difficult for me to find my voice, if I'm honest. So it's something that I've had to really work on. Initially, probably yes, but actually, you know, I get to sit in the comfort of my own home. You know, I've got my cat lying next to me, who I've decided likes the sound of my own voice because I think it sends him to sleep. And that is one of my greatest worries about my voice, honestly. I really, really worry that I sound very monotone quite often. But also, the weird thing about Zoom is you can see yourself on the screen. And I'm really fascinated with myself on screen. And I think what that comes from is that, because I'm autistic and ADHD, and I've struggled in many, ways to understand people and understand communication in particular in a way that it normally works for other people. I've lived behind masks all my whole life. So part of my journey really with Viewpoint has been learning who I really am, because that's something that I crushed down inside me a very long time ago. And the reason I'm fascinated with looking at myself on screen is not because I feel I'm really important. I do feel I'm important, as we all should in some way, but I'm really fascinated in what I do in order to achieve that, in any change that happens. So for me, I'm just really curious about what I do on screen. So for me, really, I know it's been a terrible time and it's been a real challenge for people. And don't get me wrong, I personally and my family have also experienced huge challenge through all of this. But ultimately, my sense has been really quite positive overall, I think. And so for me, the things that stand out really are that people really are every bit as amazing as I've always known they can be. When I see what people have done for other people, how communities have come together, I think it's been, and the help, even when I was in crisis, the help that I got was unbelievable. So for me, that was fantastic. I've also learned that I'm really blessed to now, because I've had to make this shift away from being employed to being self-employed, but actually it's given me the freedom to try out things that feel really important to me. And so I'm now in a position where I'm actually really blessed to be around people who share that vision and passion, and who believe that change isn't only possible, but is actually happening. And it is just, I can't tell you how freeing it is. It's fantastic. And just on that vein, anybody who's watching this, because some of you in the room may know me, now or in the past, and I just genuinely want to say thank you so much for helping me to be able to feel this way, because you've been part of that journey. So I genuinely, from the heart, really appreciate it. You are the people that make all the difference. So thank you. I've learned that whatever happens, there's great humanity in the world. And I've learned what's really important. So I've learned that time with the people in my life, and that change is possible, and that it's possible to help and just listen to people, and the power of listening, and the power of just saying to someone who's looking a bit, lost and a bit forlorn, of just saying, hi, my name's Karen and I'm so happy to be able to spend time with you today, has enormous power. And that for me has been much more important than worrying about, what meat I might be eating on Christmas Day, or any material gifts that people might be worrying about that they should buy me or that I should buy other people, and that I'd literally forgotten in an instant. So that's really what I have learned during COVID, I think. I think society has learned huge lessons, and I genuinely, and particularly the young, honestly, I take my hat off to them, because they have the best way of viewing the world. And I really, really genuinely love how vocal young people are these days about their needs. And I think, when I think about young people that live with conditions like mine, and that they're not only asking for people to be aware of them, but they are actually demanding that they get what they need in order that they can experience life in the way that other people can and have been able to for so very, very long. I think that's fantastic, and I'm just unbelievably proud of all of them. Yeah, 100% is my answer to that. I think number one, travel time is lost time, really, and particularly doing what I do, it means I can do more of it rather than sitting in my car. I think also there are some people who struggle to be in a room with another person but can actually connect on a screen. Like I was saying, when I sit here with my cat in this safe space that feels safe to me, I don't need to worry, and I can turn it off. I can turn the camera off. I can mute myself, and I can create an environment that works for me. And I think that that's not always possible, particularly maybe when you know, when you go into like an assessment room or something like that, and there's automatically this sense of a power imbalance, you know, there. It's not necessarily something that someone is doing or saying. Sometimes it just comes from within. And actually, you know, that is mitigated because, you know, we're all in our own space as opposed to having to walk into somebody else's. I think also there are no geographical boundaries. You know, you can be anywhere and connecting, and I think that's really, really important. And also it's kind of COVID proof, isn't it? It's lockdown proof is what I mean, really, is that it doesn't matter what's happening, you can do it wherever, as long as I think, you know, people have what they need to be able to do it, obviously, is the caveat, I would say. Well, where do I start? I have met just amazing people that have not only accepted but embraced me for who I am, in all my glory, rather than the masks that I've had to live behind for so very long, and who, when I have talked about how life is for me and people in my community, rather than the dismissive approach that I, you know, that question, I really hate it. I can't tell you, why do you need a label? Honestly, it's the most degrading, dismissive, uninformed question, in my opinion, ever, that one. Because, you know, for me, I'd rather know who I am in, you know, every aspect of me, because then I can give myself permission to forget or to forgive myself, and you know, for not doing the things that other people find easy, you know, and that when I can't do it, it isn't because I haven't made enough effort, or I've chosen not to do it, or I'm lazy. And it's given me, it gives me permission to not feel ashamed of myself. So, you know, and to meet people who don't ask those kinds of questions and who really get that kind of reality has just been life-changing. So that has massively helped my recovery, definitely. It also, I would not be able to be doing with my life now what I am doing if it hadn't been for my involvement with Viewpoint, and that has absolutely helped my recovery 100% too. And also, just on a very personal level, you know, in that initial induction call with Viewpoint, when I'd, you know, filled in my little form to say, yes, I'd like to volunteer with Viewpoint or work with Viewpoint, you know, I came across someone that I hadn't come across for about 10 or 15 years. And, you know, reconnected in a way that I couldn't have imagined would be possible. And, you know, I know that we've made massive differences in each of our lives, and hopefully to the people around us as well. But, you know, that has also been a massive part of my recovery, and I just eternally grateful. So thank you, Viewpoint.